Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Apex Greatness. I am your host, Russell Broderick. This way?
Yes. Other way, Dario. Other way, though, for Dario.
Oh,
yes, switched it? That's crazy. Yes, switched it.
This way is Dario.
You could at least tell me I switched it. I've been doing it like this for like 6 months, and you don't want to go and tell me now.
It was just to make you look dumb, if I'm being honest.
That's fine.
That is what it's about. Off camera, as always, the fairy pod mother, Lindsay Lehman. How are we doing, dudes?
Doing okay.
How's your holiday season going?
Swell, you know.
Swell?
Just swell, yeah.
Cooking shit, chilling.
Yeah, you know. Doing what you can for during this quarantine weird holiday shit. I don't even know if it's holiday season really. It doesn't
it's like
feel like
holiday season.
It feels like the same shit. Like the same. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but what makes less sense is that we have about 2.5 weeks until the
20 days, I think. 20 days or 21 days
until the start
NBA season.
Of the NBA season. Again.
Is it on Christmas?
It's the 22nd.
Okay.
First games are going to be played on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And so we have, like you said, we have 21 days. We're going to try and get through 30 NBA teams. And we're going to preview each and every team, go through their over-under, talk our shit, etc. So without any further ado, the first division we're doing is the Atlantic Division. Right? So that's Knicks, Celtics, Raptors, Nets,
and
Sixers.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was blanking on the Sixers, but
I just had to remember who he said. That was my thing.
But first, we start with the New York Knicks. Lindsay, take it away.
Okay, so the over-under on the New York Knicks for this upcoming season is 22.5 games. Actually, when I was looking at the over-unders for the different conferences, only the 1 through 7 seed are going to be above 500 based on the over-under odds for the Eastern Conference. The 8th seed will be below 500.
Wow,
that's typical though.
Well, it's more common. It's not super common, but if it's going to happen, it's happened in our lifetimes way more in the East than the West.
Oh, I think most of the East 8th seeds have been under 500.
Really?
Yeah, at least since I've been watching, and pretty sure it's like most of the time.
I know it's happened.
Probably not as much in the maybe not.
Well, I know it's happened every so often.
You have to win 36 games to be at 500.
Last year it really happened, right? It happened with the Nets and the Magic, but that was kind of a weird year. But if I was to go back, I'm sure it's happened a couple of times. I just don't to say every year. 41 and 41. That's what I imagine. I imagine a lot of teams at the 8th seed finish about 500 like that.
So for this year,
more. But go ahead, sorry.
For this year, the 500 magic number is 36 games.
Okay. And they're at 22?
And they're at 22.5, yeah. And then their coach is Tom Thibodeau. And then, I mean, if you really want to get into the roster, we can get into the roster. But, I mean, their roster is something special. And by special, I mean not really.
What was their record last year?
Great question. I just had that up. 21 and 45. 21. So they would not have hit the over last year.
Yeah, and they're not going to hit it this year either. It doesn't make sense for them to hit it. Why would you? You know, you could tell that they're clearly building for the future, and they have it all. We're going to talk about it, but they have it set up to where that could be a
Well, talk to me about it now.
So they pretty much don't have any really long-term contracts at all. And they're gonna obviously. I'm pretty sure they're just gonna tank and do bad again. Like no one expects them to do well, and I don't even think they expect themselves to do well. So I just expect. I think maybe next year they're hoping to get multiple big free agents. I don't know who the hell they'd be going for, but between that and getting probably better draft picks, that I see them just caring about their future. It's definitely not a right now thing.
So the Knicks have been caring about their future. The Knicks have been, quote, caring about their future pretty much my entire life. Like they don't outside of the Carmelo Anthony cup of coffee where they made a bunch of threes.
Yeah.
This Knicks squad in my lifetime has been the laughingstock of basketball. Before Blake Griffin went to or was drafted by the Clippers, it was them and the Knicks. That's it for like the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
And damn, 22 wins is awfully low.
I just don't know if they like. I really do feel like they just don't know. Well, obviously they don't know what they're doing, but
CBS says they don't know who their starting point guard is, but clearly Frankie Nicotine is not good enough to warrant being moved from second to starter.
Yeah.
If that's the case in the Knicks locker room and they don't know who their starter, they probably have. I imagine it's probably going to be Burks. Burks will probably move up in here because I know they just signed him.
Yeah.
And they got the rookie.
They also picked up Austin Rivers.
Is that like an?
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just tossing it out there.
I think. You know what I want to see? I want to see how many times Tom Thibodeau has had a record, like a losing record. Career
he's only twice
above 500, but he's only gone under 500 twice, and that was recently with Minnesota. And it's kind of a similar situation, but Minnesota had more talent.
I just don't, and he's not the type of coach you put with a bunch of young players, i.e. Minnesota.
Ooh.
Like that's why
Elaborate
Minnesota
on that because I kind of disagree, but elaborate on that.
He's like a tougher guy. Like he's tougher on his play. That's why he loves guys like Jimmy Butler and shit like that. And like he's just a coach that's more old school. So I think younger players,
I completely agree,
who are more like in the social media age and also want all the fame and glory and shit. Like he doesn't really care about that shit. And like I could see how like if he talks to them in a certain way or something, like they could go to social media, do some shit. Like I don't know. I just feel like players are like more mentally weaker now. Here's where
I think being young helps them. Tom Thibodeau loves to run his guys into the ground in terms of minutes. Like his starters play 35 minutes or more. Sometimes, most of the time, like Jimmy Butler was playing 40 minutes a game for Thibodeau when he was on the Bulls. All the and older guys obviously cannot play those heavy minutes. That's why a guy like Luol Deng, who played for Chicago for a really long time, by the time he was in his 8th or 9th year, he wasn't the same good guy because he had already accumulated so many minutes playing for Tibbs. Yeah. So I think the youth is like good, and Tibbs is going to be the only guy there with any kind of like standard, if that makes sense. Like
I see what you're saying.
There is no standard for any kind of greatness, excellence. I don't even know if there's a standard for good in that organization. And so like I don't know. I think that's why you make that hire. However, to your point, the youth that he had in Minnesota didn't respond well to his coaching.
Yeah, it just all depends. It depends about their like the mental toughness and like what they can take and stuff. Because I think he can be a good coach. Obviously, he's
Yeah.
he's proven throughout his career he could be a good coach.
Yeah.
I just think that it definitely depends on their mentality and how they take his coaching style for sure. But either way, they're gonna be under 20 wins,
You think,
so it doesn't fucking matter.
you think
If
this is the worst team in basketball?
I'd have to look at all the teams. I'm not like off the top of my head. The Knicks are always one of the worst teams in basketball in my mind. So it's between them, probably the Bobcats. Bobcats might be a little better than them actually.
Bobcats.
The Hornets.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the Charlotte Hornets. I forget that they.
So hold on. There were 3 teams last year that finished under 20 wins, and the Knicks were not one of them.
Okay.
Do you think? Here's my thing. I just don't know where they're getting their points from.
My main thing. All right, so I'm talking about
Like they're scoring 105
the Warriors
points a
were
game.
like
I just don't know where.
actively. The Warriors were like actively trying to tank, and they only got six less wins than the Knicks. Like that's crazy. Like we know the Warriors were tanking. Like
Yeah.
it was clear. So that's really funny.
But the Knicks tanked last year. They tank every fucking year, and I've heard that they have this plan, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
So they drafted this guy named Obi Toppin. Now, just for full disclosure, I don't know nearly as much about the college game as I do about the pros. However, I do know how to read. And this is actually what I was looking at earlier. I figured I'd pull this up. Just kind of his scouting report. I'll go back to the highlights in a second. But NBADraft.net has his athleticism and size at a 9 out of 10 for his position. Seems to be an athlete. Just like a rangy kind of. They have his comparison as Kenyon Martin, Sean Marion type guy.
Oh.
Long wingspan. Some of the highlights I was watching just was him like being very athletic. So that makes a lot of sense to me. He scored 20 points a game in his sophomore year. I don't know. I feel like this team doesn't have anybody that can shoot the ball. Like I don't see one solid shooter.
What's their roster again? Could we look them up again? Yeah, I don't think it's like they're playing it's like they don't even know what the NBA is right now. Like if you don't have shooters on your team, that's one of the clear reasons you're not winning more than 25 games. Like this whole and we'll go over it throughout the off season, but throughout each like team's off season. But if you notice, all the shooters got paid. Like everyone was just paying for shooters because shooters were at a premium right now. You need to have 3-point shooting on your team in order to even think about contending for a championship.
And that's what I'm confused
or contending
about
in general. Yeah.
Because this guy, he made 1 3 a game, shot 39%, but he took less than 3 every game.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not calling him like a knockdown shooter by any means. Reggie Bullock, excuse me. Okay, like not a knockdown by any means. RJ Barrett, same kind of thing. Alec Burks probably the best shooter I see.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's not good. 20 what was the over under, Lindsay? 22 wins? You're going to go with under?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it all depends. It all depends on how much
I'm gonna be very specific. They're getting 19 wins this year.
I think there's a universe that this team could stand a chance to be okay at defense with Thibodeau, with their length, because all these guys are pretty long, and all these guys are like okay. Like Julius Randle's a below average defender, but Mr. Robinson did pretty good at protecting the rim last year. Toppin, like we just described, long, rangy.
Yeah.
Frankie Nicotino can play decent defense, but
so my thing is So you automatically, so you're playing your division 3 times, most likely. That's how, I think that's how the new schedules has it set up.
Oh yeah,
So
how many games? How many games are in the season?
72.
Okay.
So you're playing your division 3 times. So that's
Right.
4 other teams that you're playing. And you're most likely gonna lose to your division at least 2 of those times. So at least at the bare minimum, because I see them losing to the Nets, or that's might be the one that they grab a win or something just to try to fight for the rights in New York or some shit. But you're gonna lose to the Celtics probably all 3 times. You're gonna lose to the 76ers all 3 times. You're gonna lose to Toronto all 3 times. I just maybe not Toronto. Maybe you could get a win off Toronto. But I just see this team being really bad. And I think they want to be really bad. I don't know. I think they're just gonna start this guy. Hopefully, he gets some experience, and just pray that they get a good spot for the next year too.
Yeah.
And hope for big free agents.
Well, that's what the final thing I was going to say before we move on, because I think they'll probably finish no better than they did last year, which means they're going to hit the under. I don't see 22.5 being possible. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that many wins, but especially when you're taking away 10 games and they only won 21 last year.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems
so
very,
each game is going to matter a little
unlikely.
more.
Exactly.
I just don't see. Yeah, and especially when you're looking at a team that like in reality, you should want to lose. You know what I mean? Like to if you're trying to build for the future and there's nothing you can do now, you should want to lose and pray for miracles.
So the past few years, it's been, we're gonna get LeBron. Remember that when he went to Miami? When LeBron went to Miami,
every big free agent, is pretty much.
So next one, who was the next one? That was KD was the next one.
KD was one of them.
But he was the first time, right, with the Warriors, right?
I don't know if it was with the Warriors,
but they couldn't even get a meeting with him.
Yeah, probably. I know they didn't get a meeting with him.
When he went to Brooklyn this past time, they didn't get a meeting with him.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, Giannis is the guy now. We're going to get Giannis to New York. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And you want to know what could also hurt like a big market team like that, especially right now with the pandemic?
Mm.
If this pandemic lasts long, like even longer, like people might not want to go live in New York for 5 years or whatever.
This is my case with any free agent decision. Why would anyone come to cold ass New York to play your NBA season when you can go to like Texas and pay no state income tax, Florida, California, you still got to pay some taxes, but at least it's fucking nice. Like, I just can't imagine. Being a free agent deciding to come here, especially when you have Brooklyn in another borough that's twice as competent as an organization.
The only thing is the market, though. Still, even with the Nets, like the Knicks, for whatever reason, the organization's name rings more than like it just sells more than the Nets. So that like because of the past history of it, but
I don't understand it at all. The way sports teams are valued specifically, like when we talk about the most valuable organizations, they're still number one, the Knicks, and it's like got to be at Madison Square Garden's value holding them up, and just like the power of New York and the sheer volume of human beings. But fucking, I can't imagine them. They're definitely going to be last in this division.
100%.
And I would be very surprised if they won more than 20 games. 19 is a nice number.
Yeah.